MAX 9s are still grounded after a sudden gaping hole ripped through the side of an Alaska Airlines flight. And at least the airlines are already reporting that they found loose parts and bolts in the same door panels. And as more details emerge, it's worth asking two questions. How bad could this have really been? And where the heck is Pete Buttigieg? Joining me now, retired Air Force and United Airlines pilot Scott Patillo and Horace Cooper, chair of Project 21. Scott, take that first question. People are saying, oh, all's well that ends well. But, well, that's true, but how bad could this have been?
Laura, it could have been much worse than it was. We got very, very lucky with this particular incident that the door came off at 16,000 feet. Had it been a cruise up in the mid-30s, it would have been an explosive decompression. Flight attendants would have been out of their seats. Passengers would have been unbuckled. And it would have ended very, very badly for anybody that was up and about in that airplane. And
does that mean people would have been sucked out of the plane because of the depressurization if you hadn't been buckled in?
Highly possible. Up in 38,000 feet with the pressure differential, if you were anywhere near that, anywhere near one of those seats and you weren't buckled in, there's a high probability you could have been extracted from the aircraft. That is correct.
Horace, we hear this story, and they're still looking for some of the bolts, we understand, that they can't find. But Boeing, have the doors have fallen off the planes, but at least, they're meeting their diversity goals, I guess, in Boeing, because they say our goal was to achieve diverse interview slates for at least 90% of managers and executives in their openings, and they bragged that they exceeded that target with 92% of interview slates being diverse, resulting in 47% diverse hires at the management and executive levels. Now, Horace, we can't link the diversity efforts to what happened, and that would take an exhaustive investigation. But it's worth asking at this point: is excellence what we need in airline operation, or is diversity the goal here?
In my latest book, I mention this dalliance with DEI, this idea that diversity is more important than a meritocracy. I titled the chapter DIE because this can kill. When I was a kid, we asked this question about whether or not you wanted your cardiologist to be someone who sort of was socially promoted through medical school, or did you want the excellent? We eventually started talking about pilots. Now I read that there are airlines like United, there are airline building companies that are going around saying that we need more diversity rather than talent. The President of the United States has picked Mayor Pete to be in charge of airline safety. Again, choosing diversity over the importance of the real reason there's an FAA. And that's safety. That's making sure that when passengers get on the plane, they are going to actually reach their loved ones.
Well, Scott, we're learning more about what happened at this all-hands safety meeting today at Boeing. The company's president and CEO acknowledging the mistake and saying we're going to approach it with 100% and complete transparency every step of the way. Scott, is that good enough for you?
No, Laura, it's not, because finding out what happened is going to be paramount, and making sure that it doesn't happen again. We trust the officials from the secretary on down to the regulatory agency of the FAA to make sure that these airplanes are put together like we're told they are, and then to come to find out that they're not. And so what other issues are lurking behind the firewall of these aircraft that we're going to find out at some later time through some kind of disaster, only to be told that, well, we're working on it and we're going to get to the bottom of it. So no, just it is not enough to say that. They need to investigate and find out what happened, how these bolts, who missed the point of inspections and certifying these things, whether it be the FAA or Boeing.
Yeah, and apparently some of the airlines have found loosened bolts in their aircraft. I mean, they always say in the pre-flight announcements, safety is our first priority. Well, I hope so, but it seems like in some cases DEI might be. Scott and Horace, thank you so much.